Hi YouTube, this is Evie. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you all. Today I would like to talk about different types of pain that you can experience in BDSM. As I was starting to film this video, I realized that it was probably going to be like a 45-minute long rant and that I should probably break it up into a couple of parts. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about different types of pain in this video, and then I'm going to be doing a few follow-up videos where I talk about how to determine your pain tolerance, how to evaluate different kinds of impact play toys for what type of pain that they may give you if you're using them in a scene, how to process pain, all that stuff. So I'm going to be doing a few follow-up videos to this, but today I am just strictly going to be talking about different types of pain. Now, before I get too far into this topic, I do first just want to say this. And that is the type of pain that you like and the types of pain you don't like do not determine if you are a good or bad submissive, or if you are a good or a bad bottom, or a good or a bad masochist. That is not what it is about. There's always going to be somebody who likes more than you do, who likes different types of pain than you do, who can take more types of pain than you do, that has longer scenes, etc. I know it can be really difficult, especially as a bottom or as an S-type, to not fall into the trap of comparing yourself to others, to wanting to be better, to constantly seeking self-improvement and being a perfectionist, or wanting to live up to community expectations or be the best, and that is not what it is about. The reason why it's good to know what types of pain that you like and the types of pain that you don't like is to be able to create a mutually enjoyable scene with your top or your dominant. That's really all it is. It's not about meeting any sort of invisible criteria. It's not about checking off boxes on the list of saying, I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this. It can be really unhealthy to think that way. So just try to put that out of your mind. Again, it is not a competition. It is not a contest. There are no prizes awarded for being able to take the most pain or being able to do the most intense scenes. So just leave that in the back of your mind, try not to think about it, and just focus instead about creating scenes that you enjoy. But anyways, what types of pain are there? Well, generally speaking, in conversations about impact play and masochism, you will hear people refer to two different types of pain. That is stingy and thuddy. And those are two very general categories. You can have pain that is both. You can have one that is exclusively one or the either. You can have one that feels stingy at first but becomes more of a lasting thuddy sensation. You can have one that feels very thuddy at first but leaves a sort of residual stingy feeling at the end. But generally speaking, a stingy type of pain is going to be one that is superficial on the top layers of your skin. It's activating the nerves on the top part of your skin. And as you experience repeated stingy sensations, it's going to spread out along the top of your skin. And this is all my very personal, non-scientific explanation of these pains, by the way. This is just how I feel them personally and how I have experienced them. So it tends to be more superficial on the top layers of the skin. It can almost be described as a burning sensation almost in a lot of ways. It's definitely not the same kind of sensation as fire play, but it tends to leave kind of a almost burning type of sensation. That's the only way I can really think to describe it until you've actually experienced it. So something like a spank or a slap would typically be a very stingy type of sensation because it's activating the very top part of your skin but not really penetrating any deeper, which is where thuddy comes in. Thuddy tends to be more like a punch or like a deep tissue type of massage. It's something that, rather than spreading out across your skin and activating the superficial layers of your skin, tends to go more down into your tissue. It tends to go down more into your fat layers, into your muscle. It just goes down deeper rather than spreading across. And as I said before, you can have things that feel like both. You can have ones that are exclusively like one or the other, and people tend to be this way as well. A lot of people will solely like stingy and will not do thuddy at all. There are people who like both, and there are people who will only do thuddy and hate sting and will want to murder you if you touch them with a stingy toy. And I've noticed some very, very general, superficial trends about this. I am a very small person. I am about 5'3", I'm about 100 pounds, and I really only like stingy sensation. And the reason for that is that I don't really have a lot of tissue to work with when it comes to deep impact play, when it comes to thuddy type of sensation. I don't really have any muscle or fat there to kind of protect my skin the same way that it would be if maybe I was a bit a larger person. So it really just feels like it's going down into my bones, and I really, really don't like that feeling. I don't like the feeling of, oh my god, I'm gonna get a limb broken, oh my god, I'm gonna get a fracture. I just don't like it. It takes me out of the headspace, and it just feels way more intense. And by comparison, a lot of people who do tend to have more muscle, people who have more body fat, because they have more stuff that's protecting their vital organs and their bones, and then because they just have more tissue, they tend to get a bit more out of thuddy impact play because they just have more room to work with. And you can be either body type and like either kind of play, and you can like neither kind of play. It's just, those are my general observations about what I have noticed of people who really like stingy or really like thuddy. It does tend to be at least a little bit based on your body composition. Now, what I find really interesting here is that there are many types of pain which are neither stingy nor thuddy, and they just tend to be left out of the equation of pain. And I think that is, I don't want to say harmful, but it's a bit of a failing of our communication, how we discuss impact play and masochism. Because it took me a really long time to find types of pain that I enjoyed, because the types of pain that I enjoyed were not included in conversations about pain. And there are tons of toys out there which people cannot easily classify as one or the other. And the first one I would like to talk about that is neither stingy nor thuddy would be Scratchy. This is something like rough sandpaper, a rough carpet, nails, a knife, anything that has a very rough texture, rather than something like stingy, which is superficial and leaves kind of a burning sensation, rather than being like a quick, like, because stingy tends to be more of a quick sensation. It's something that tends to be more continual in a way. So that might be like rubbing rough sandpaper on an area of skin, that might be being dragged across a rough carpet, that might be having like a knife with more of a blunt edge rubbed across your skin over and over. It's something that is more texture based and is superficial like stingy, but the way that it affects your body is a little bit different than that. And with Scratchy type play, it is harder to find toys that do it. A lot of it is going to be more DIY based, but it can be a very, very intense sensation. It's just as valid as stingy or thuddy is. You can very easily draw blood from a long, scratchy sensation type of scene. If you might be interested in Scratchy, a really great way to test this is coconut rope. Most people hate coconut rope. People who like stinging and who like thuddy both hate coconut rope. It's something that rope tops keep in their bag as a threat to brats to keep them from misbehaving in rope or trying to escape. But then you have the people who love Scratchy like me, and the only time I can get into subspace is if there is a scratchy sensation happening, if there is something like a rough carpet or being tied up in coconut rope. It's actually the first time I experienced subspace was a coconut rope scene. So if you don't like stingy and you don't like thuddy, maybe give Scratchy a try. There is also yet more types of pain, and that I would call more of a cutting type of sensation. So this would be something like knife play with a sharp edge, needle play, scalpel play, anything that is actually physically cutting your skin. Now, also like stingy and like Scratchy, this is something that does tend to be more superficial, although with certain types of cutting type pain and cutting type play, it can also go quite deep and go more into the deeper tissue layers, although that is even more risky than this type of play is to begin with. And this is a type of pain that I would not necessarily recommend beginners go into or try to experience, because there is more risk, because it does tend to involve opening the skin of infections. It can also be very mentally draining or challenging for a lot of people. A lot of people have hang-ups around seeing blood, have phobias, just have something that causes them to pass out when they see blood, and all that is totally fine. But this would be something like maybe doing a straight razor shaving scene, doing a scalpel play scene, doing a needle play scene, but basically it's anything that involves cutting the skin or piercing the skin. So rather than staying on top of the skin as you would with other kinds of impact play, you're actually going into the skin, and that's where the sensation is derived. Now, most people who like this type of pain will also like one of the other categories of pain as well, depending on what they find enjoyable about the cutting sensation. People who really like sort of the intense burning paper cut effect may like stingy type play. People who like scalpels which go very deep into the skin may also like deep tissue impact play or thuddy impact play. But again, this is not a type of impact play that I recommend to beginners because the risk profile for most of the activities that elicit this type of sensation are just a lot higher than I think people who really don't have experience with other types of play yet are kind of able to handle. So if you are looking to kind of maybe evolve from stingy or thuddy or something else and are looking to go into something that's maybe a bit heavier, if you're not kind of finding your edge, so to speak, with other types of impact play, that might be a good place for you to go. Just make sure you take classes about it, observe scenes with it, practice a lot before you do it on another person because again, very, very high risk profile for that type of sensation. Now, I'm going to be going into this portion of it a bit more in depth in another video, but I would also like to discuss how can you elicit these particular sensations? What are different toys that you can use in order to evaluate if you like stingy or thuddy? Now for stingy, I would generally speaking say think light and think thin. So something like a thin acrylic cane or a thin metal or Darylin cane, a thin paddle that has holes drilled into it or that has been made of a lighter wood. Suede can be a really good material as well, both for leather paddles and also for leather floggers. Floggers do tend to be one of those toys where you will experience a mix of both sting and thud depending on, you know, the length of falls, the types of falls. The falls are the like part of the toy that's actually like hitting somebody when you're doing a flogging. But generally speaking, if you're looking to elicit a thuddy type of sensation from a flogger, you're going to be doing something that's heavier and thicker, whereas for a stingy type of sensation, a flogger is generally going to be shorter with thinner falls and less falls. Now on the other side, as I already mentioned, thuddy tends to be bigger falls, more falls, just more dense, tends to be heavier, so that might be like a cowhide or bison as opposed to a spongier elk or a suede as you would with stingy. Thuddy can also be great for heavier, denser woods, so something like a really thick paddle, a baseball bat, as opposed to something lighter, like maybe a kitchen spoon or something like a hairbrush paddle. You can also elicit thuddy with actually a lot of kind of unique toys. So you can have thuddy be something like maybe the heel of a boot, a foam bat, anything that is really large, heavy, dense. That's going to be how you elicit a thuddy sensation. Now when it comes to Scratchy, I've already named a few, but let's just go through the list again for the sense of completion. So this would be something like sisal or coconut rope. This could be something like sandpaper. It could be rough carpet. There's actually some interesting materials out there that you can use for Scratchy. You can also just use your nails. You can use a blunt knife. You can use anything that has really any sort of intense texture to it. You can use to provoke a scratchy type of sensation. You can do a paddle that's maybe sort of like a meat tenderizer that sort of has like rounded pyramids built into it, so you're kind of getting that sort of a scratchy sensation. Like, you do have to be careful with that because depending on how large the pyramids are and how heavy the paddle is, it may more go into sort of a deep thuddy impact than more of a scratchy textured type of sensation. You can also do other types of sensation play, incorporate really well with Scratchy, but if you're doing it strictly for a pain focused scene, doing something continual is generally going to work out better than quick instances like you would with maybe a thuddy or a stingy type of sensation. And last but not least is a piercing or cutting type of pain. This again would be things like needles, scalpels, sharp knives, anything that is piercing or cutting the skin in some way. And again, one last time, disclaimer, that type of play I would not recommend for beginners. If you are interested in furthering your masochism or experiencing this type of play, please do go to classes, please do watch others do this type of play, and that is all I really wanted to get to today. If you want to make sure you catch those videos, do subscribe if you haven't already. I make videos twice a week. If you want to support this channel, find my social media, etc. Link to my Patreon, my Instagram, my Tumblr, everything will be down in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for your support on Patreon. Without your guys' help, I would not be able to make videos like this. I would not be able to do YouTube, so thank you guys so much for that. And until I see you guys next time, have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.